My name is Shawn Fougere. I'm a 27-year veteran of the Ontario Provincial Police. My life prior to having my dog Kal was quite different in the way that through my job as a police officer, I started to develop symptoms of what I've now known to be post-traumatic stress disorder. Of course, in the era that I began policing in over 25 years ago, it wasn't really, I don't want to say the word cool, but it wasn't something that police officers did, which was share their feelings. So a lot of the feelings and emotions I was starting to build up, I just pushed down until eventually things began to percolate and I started to have addiction problems with alcohol, trying to calm myself. And then I started having issues with social settings to the point where I wouldn't leave my house. I began to isolate, stayed in the bedroom or sat on the same place in the couch. I just was not the man that I used to be. There was a suicide attempt with my gun in the change room that a friend helped me get to a treatment center. So my life at that point was just, I was at a precipice of what do I do now? We've identified he has post-traumatic stress disorder, but I'm not healing. I'm just sulking, I'm just sitting, I can't handle life. My wife, I have a family, I had 2 teenage kids at that point, and that wasn't easy. So we're like, what are we gonna do? I wouldn't leave my house unless I had my wife with me. And so what happened is I had a sort of a relapse emotionally. I was at almost the same place as I was with the gun in the change room. And my wife and my sister-in-law brought me to the emergency room because they feared for my safety. It was that emergency room doctor that said, you know what would you think about a service dog? Because the type of triggers you have, being social, anxiety, not wanting to leave the house, he goes, some dogs can help with that. So I left there and I spoke to my psychologist who went, yeah, I think that's a great idea. So then I went through a process. It was a very long process. I went to my association or union and they had a list of people. So I applied to a not-for-profit group that called United by Trauma. Long story short, I was selected. So Kal came into my life. I mean, there's a story even about how I got him, but once he came into my life, absolutely everything changed dramatically. I don't isolate anymore. If I'm by myself, I'm not. I talk to Kal as if he's a human. He forces me outside even on days where I'm not well or don't feel like going out. Well, he's an 85-pound German Shepherd that wants to run. So I have to take him out and I do that. So all of these things, he changes. So I've gone from a person that wouldn't leave to somebody that will at least go out on my own. The other thing that he did dramatically is social settings. I wouldn't go to Walmart. I wouldn't go to any place because of people. I would freeze. Kal changed that with his training. I can now go out in the public confident. I'm not always in code orange, which just means hyper-vigilant. Whenever I used to walk, I'd have to walk against the wall, constantly turning around, and Kal's changed all that. Now I don't have to, I can walk normally, because Kal looks around. When I get to a corner, Kal looks around the corner first. All that kind of stuff that he's trained to do has freed me up. And probably one of the biggest things that he did right off the bat, I suffered from night terrors, which are a lot different from nightmares. Night terrors are like I'm in the battle, so I'm swinging, I've broken clocks, I've broken lamps and that kind of stuff. And what Kal was trained to do was any sort of change in my behavior, whether I'm awake or asleep, he sort of checks on me, right? So in my sleep, once you get into a night terror, you go from being quiet to losing your mind. So Kal, he would get up and come over and jump on me, jump right on the bed and wake me up, get me out of the night terror. So that happened 2 or 3 times. He actually even woke up my wife once because I think she must have made some strange noise. So what happened with that is I gained the confidence of he's always there. And he was always there. So I haven't had a night terror in, I'd say, about 1.5 years. And it's all attributed to Kal. I mean, I can go on forever and ever about the changes, but those are the huge life-altering changes that he's given me. What's really neat about the bonding process of the dog is it starts right away at training. I remember I started going to see the pups. The trainer had a group of about 8 German Shepherds and Belgian Malinois, and we went and did a little questionnaire, a little interview, and they identified based on my family dynamics and my level that I was sort of slated for a smaller female Czech German Shepherd. So we started working with the dogs, and then when we went to choose, okay, the trainer's now going to watch you with all the dogs, what happened was the smaller female German Shepherd that I was with was jumpy. And so when we were working at the Rito Center in Ottawa during training, if we'd walk and something would go bang, the dog would jump, I would jump, and it was like, what? This isn't working. And what happened with Kal was he was a month younger than everybody else. So generally, they train the dogs from 8 weeks to a year old. Then at a year old, they do their thing. But the trainer says, Kal is an alpha male and he's got attitude. Let me just try you with Kal. And it was amazing. He's a big, beautiful beast with the heart of gold. He's very, very, very sensitive. He's kind of got a lot of my attributes, but he walks with a strut. And most dogs in the perfect heel are right to your left, like right beside you. Kal's like, yeah, no, I'm not walking beside you. I want to walk slightly in front of you. And at first the trainer's like, well, I can change that. I went, no, don't. I said, if you don't mind, because then when I walk, we're sitting there going along, and when I get to a corner, he got to the corner first, and he cleared it for me. And if anybody came up to me anywhere, he turned around and looked at them. I was standing in line to pay for something. If he couldn't see behind me because I was there, he put his head between my legs to look behind me. And all of a sudden I'm going, this dog's a rock star. And then when we were just hanging out afterwards, he just snuggled. So the bond happened almost immediately for both of us. Now, if I walk anywhere in the house, he follows me. I go upstairs, downstairs. When I go in the shower, he lays outside the bathroom door during the whole shower. So the bond that we've developed basically has gone both ways. And I think that's kind of like the perfect marriage of what they're looking for. And it kind of happened accidentally and because of that, I always have a buddy that's emotionally attached to me, and so does he. We look to each other. And I guess that's what the definition of a bond is. I didn't even know what it is. But anybody that sees us together, my wife can attest to it as well, we are joined at the hip. Whether he was a service dog or just my pet, he is attached to me and my family. If you saw him around my wife too, it's incredible. So yeah, the bond, unbelievable. It's really, really tight. The other part is when you bring in a service dog at home, like I have a wife and I have two, at the time when I first got Kal, 2 teenage kids living at home. We also have a 13-pound, 10-pound wiener dog, so about this big. So to incorporate into the family, and when he came in, he just came in and just loved everybody. He has different relationships. My daughter, for example, she loves to snuggle and stuff, so she tells him, jump up, and he hugs her. He literally, I don't know if you've seen him do that at conferences and stuff, but sometimes he'll walk up and just jump at me. He puts his paws here and he just wants to snuggle. So he does that with my daughter a lot, or jumps on her bed, and just loves to just snuggle. With my son, he's got this relationship with my son that is so fun to watch. So my son's a big kid, he's about 6'3" now, and they've developed this game where they fight together, but in a fun way. So like they'll fight, Brady gets on the floor, they roll around. But what Kal has started doing is if he's downstairs and Brady's coming downstairs, the dog will literally sort of hide around the corner. And then when Brady comes down the stairs, he pounces, wraps his paws around Brady's legs and brings him down like a gazelle. And then they fight and they roll around and they chew. And it's so fun to watch. So there's 2 different relationships. He's got this nice, soft, snuggly thing with my daughter. And then with my son, it's just an all-out, they just love each other. And to see that warms my heart too, because I'm bringing in a large animal into my house that the whole family wasn't expecting. A day in the life of Kal and I can depend. If my wife is at home, then the day is kind of just a normal day, which is kind of cool. I generally bring him out in the morning beforehand because he likes his exercise and stuff. And then we just sort of do like any couple day because he lets me do that. When my wife is at work and we're just home alone, the process is a little different just because, okay, now I'm alone with Kal. So it starts off with, we get up, I have my breakfast and we go for like a walk or somewhere like that. He eats and I take him out to the bush all the time because that's what he loves to do. Kal doesn't work all the time. As a matter of fact, he works very limitedly. Any other time, it's kind of like free time for him. And that's what my days are like. I take him, I have a boat, he comes on my boat with me. I have an ATV, he comes on my ATV with me. And I try to do something every day because that's what I missed about my life before that. What's really cool with Kal is he does have certain things that he loves to do. And I'm gonna say probably the biggest thing, he loves outdoors. But one of the biggest things he likes, I have a certain areas that I go to that he knows that there's water there. And as soon as I hit the gravel road, he's up in the van, he's looking out the window and he's pumped. And you just know, you open up the gate and he's gone. I never knew German Shepherds liked water. I just assumed they didn't. And he loves it, absolutely loves it. He'll go in with his vest, he'll go in without his vest on, so I have to always watch that. We went to a beach once, and of course he came with me, and that's how I found out. We were just in the shallows, and all of a sudden he just started running in the water. It's to the point where if we stop anywhere, if we're traveling, I literally get out of the van and do a look-see around the van to make sure there's no water around, because if we're traveling, you don't want a long-haired, stinky German Shepherd in the car. And probably one of the best stories to that is we were shopping at an outlet mall. We went, before we left, there's a field, we stop. We're gonna let him out just have a pee and a drink before we drive home. It's about a 3-hour drive home. And all of a sudden we looked, just as the same time as my wife and I went, is that a swamp? Splash, he's in it. So his love for water is just absolutely uncanny. The other thing he loves to do is he loves to run in the bush and chase anything. Follow the scent. What I mean by chase is, I don't mean literally the animal, but up north, like, you know, rabbits and deer and he'll get on a track and just track and track and track and track, and I just get to follow him. He gets so pumped about doing that kind of stuff. He has his favorite little squeak toy. It's a big sloth. He loves just walking around carrying that in his mouth. When he's in the mood to play, if he's bored, when we're watching TV or something, all of a sudden he'll grab his sloth, he'll come up and he'll bump you with it, just bump, bump, and he just wants to play. So he's got a lot of playful side to him, and he's just always fun to be around, and you can't ignore him. If he's in the mood to play, he's big enough, he'll just keep bumping you and bumping you, and he nibbles. Oh, he nibbles on you. You know, like when the dog is trying to chew if they're itchy or a little bug? When he's excited or happy, he does that. So there's certain things about him that he's got characteristics. The things that are funny about the service dog, when he knows we're going outside, when I'm at home, I don't wear socks. And the reason why I'm telling you this is, what happens is when we're going outside to the walk for the bush or whatever, the first thing I do is go to my bedroom and put socks on. As soon as he sees me put socks on, he literally gets, I'm trying to put them on, he's bumping my hands because he's pumped, right? He's not helping me very much, but he knows. So it's so cool. Then he knows, okay, get in the van, the vest is there, at least, all right, let's go. And so he's got these different cues that he knows when things fun are about to happen. The other thing that he does when we're at work, meaning if I'm in a big social setting, my wife pegged it the best, calling it his strut. He's got like a strut to him when he's pumped. So we'll start walking and he's like, it's hard to explain. He looks like a horse trotting, and so you know he's happy, and that just makes me happy, right? And he never ever seems to get tired of doing anything. So yeah, he's so much fun to have around. He has his things that he loves, and I know he loves being with me out in public and doing his job because just of his reactions, the way he deals with people and other people. He's good.